Your Excellency, the Prime Minister of the Republic of Albania, Your Excellency, Assistant Secretary General of NATO for Cyber and Digital Transformation, Excellencies, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is a distinct privilege and a great honor to address you today at the 3rd NATO Cyber Defence Conference here in Tirana, a gathering that embodies our shared resolve to reinforce collective defense and deterrence in the digital era through the continuous adoption and optimization of our alliance. This event takes place at a moment when the boundaries between the peace and the conflict are increasingly being shaped within the digital domain. Cybersecurity has emerged as one of the defining challenges of our time. It's not merely a technical issue. It stands as a cornerstone of national sovereignty, shared responsibility, and democratic values. In recent years, it has become increasingly evident that cyber defense is no longer an adjunct to national security. It is its foundation. Excellencies, distinguished guests, Albanian digital infrastructure across both public and private sectors has not been immune to persistent and state-sponsored cyber attack, which we will further address later briefings. These challenges have tested our resilience, yet they have also strengthened our determination to act, adapt, innovate, and operationalize the cyber domain. We have not faced these threats alone. The solidarity of NATO's allies, through both strategic and technical support, has been instrumental to reinforcing our defenses. Under the leadership of the Prime Minister of Albania, we have advanced the integration of cutting-edge technologies into our national digital governance framework. The transformation has focused on modernizing the digital government infrastructure, future-proofing our strategic and legal framework, scaling both the government and national security operations centers, building trust among domestic and international partners, fostering innovation, and bridging the capacity-building gap. At the regional level, we have actively promoted and advanced collective initiatives aimed at strengthening our collective cyber resilience. In particular, we have focused on enhancing threat intelligence exchanging and conducting joint cyber exercises. Our joint efforts across NATO allies and partners continue to reinforce not only our collective defenses, but also our shared digital ecosystem. Thank you for your attention. Excellencies, distinguished guests, before we continue with the agenda, it is my great honor to present a special video addressed from the Secretary General of NATO, His Excellency, Mr. Mark Rutte, whose message of commitment and solidarity underscores the unwavering dedication and alliance to strengthen our collective cyber defense. Please join me in welcoming the video message from the Secretary General of NATO.
Good morning to all of you in Tirana. It is a great pleasure to address the NATO Cyber Defence Conference, and I'm sorry I can't be with you in person. Today, the keyboard is a weapon of war, targeting our militaries and our societies every day. State and non-state actors are working in cyberspace against us, trying to disrupt our defenses, degrade our critical infrastructure, spy on our societies and interfere with government services. In response, NATO continues to grow stronger in the digital world. 10 years ago, cyber became an operational domain. We plan, train, and conduct operations with cyber as part of our military activity. And our adversaries know that a cyber attack or campaign could trigger Article 5. At our military headquarters in Belgium, we are establishing NATO's Integrated Cyber Defence Center. It will inform NATO military commanders on possible threats and vulnerabilities in cyberspace, including privately owned critical civilian infrastructure. The Centre will bring together military and civilian personnel from across NATO structures, as well as from allied governments and experts from industry. NATO allies are also stepping up their investments in cyber. At the summit in The Hague, we made the historic decision to spend 5% of GDP on defense, on core capabilities as well as defense and security-related investments. This means our militaries will become even stronger and our societies more resilient against cyber threats. Individual countries are ultimately responsible for their national cyber defenses. But NATO provides a unique network through which allies can implement responses to cyber threats. And this conference in Tirana is a great forum to share your expertise, ideas and best practices. NATO is an alliance of shared values, and we will continue to promote a norms-based, predictable and secure approach to cyberspace. No one stands alone in NATO, and we all stand together in this digital age against those who would do us harm. Dear friends, I wish you a very successful conference.
Now, I have the privilege to give the floor to Mr. Jean-Charles Ellerman-Kingombe, Assistant Secretary General of NATO for Cyber and Digital Transformation, whose leadership continues to shape the strategic approach of NATO to cybersecurity, digital transformation, and innovation. The floor is yours.
Your Excellency, Prime Minister Rama, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, dear friends, I'm delighted to be here with you in Tirana today, and I extend my deepest gratitude to Albanian hosts and coordinators of the third iteration of the NATO Cyber Defence Conference, an invaluable event where the allies come together at the political, military and technical levels. Over the next 2 days, we had the opportunity to share perspectives, develop relationships and learn from each other. First, however, I would like to use your imagination as I tell a short story. Picture this. It's October 2030. Nations have poured trillions to integrate advanced technology, including advanced cyber defense tools, into their military infrastructure. You are a sergeant on a battlefield in an alliance mission, tasked with protecting a critical data center that provides the digital backbone for your operations, providing the technology, everything, including your communications networks. You depend heavily on a state-of-the-art cyber defense tool that promises you insights into adversarial activity on the network. Then, the technology that was supposed to protect you becomes your Achilles heel. Maybe it's a supply chain vulnerability or an IT glitch. The sensors malfunction. In the early morning, a massive cyber attack causes a catastrophic failure on the data center, obliterating your military command and control infrastructure. You and your unit are left blind and vulnerable without the support of your technology. In the ensuing chaos, enemy troops launch ground attack, leading to loss of life and the capture of information that may turn the tide of this war in their favor. Your cyber tool failed, and the effects were devastating. I think you see where I'm going. In a world where we are increasingly relying on technology, we are on a trajectory where this scenario is not impossible. The modern battlefield is changing. We are already living in a world in which cyber underpins our entire defense infrastructure. It follows that when we talk about technology resilience, we are also talking about the ability of our national defenders, our armed forces, to be able to harness technology and the cyber domain effectively in order to have the upper hand on the battlefield. In other words, modern conflict is not just a matter of physical strength, but of digital prowess. Allies recognize the challenge and this opportunity. Significant efforts are underway across the alliance and at NATO to ensure we maximize cyber's contribution to our deterrence and defense goals. This is essential as we strive to prioritize the warfighter and consider what we need to win a war. We need the infrastructure along our military mobility routes to work reliably and seamlessly. In our mobility plans, we need to be protecting the sites and assets from all angles, physical and through cyber means. We need to ensure the right information is shared between civil and military defenders at the speed of relevance, indeed real time. And we need to be able to deter our adversaries effectively in cyberspace, to make it so difficult, inconvenient, expensive, even embarrassing for them that they don't even try. To achieve our goal of becoming a multi-domain operation-enabled alliance by 2030, as outlined by our leaders in Washington, we must take action on these key initiatives. And cyber readiness is essential for us to be fully prepared for battle. To that end, I present 3 calls to action to this community today. First, invest urgently in cyber defense. As mentioned by the Secretary General at the Hague Summit, allies committed to 3.5% of GDP annually on core defense requirements and 1.5% on defense security-related spending by 2035. This means substantially more funding to protect our critical infrastructure and defend our networks. Seizing this opportunity to harden our cyber defenses, it will include substantial work to urgently enhance the resilience of critical infrastructure vital for military mobility, such as port and railroads, to move equipment and personnel to the front line quickly, and the energy sector that powers everything. Second, supporting our national defenders by leveraging industry. Our national cyber defenders need all the help they can get. Every ally is already resource constrained in cyberspace. We must collaborate more effectively with industry in order to enhance public-private and civil-military collaboration, facilitating information exchange and daily cooperation to protect systems and prepare for wartime scenarios. We require new ways of working together, new ways of building trust. Certainly at NATO, the Integrated Cyber Center will be essential as we harness private sector innovation to support allied activity. As we move forward with full implementation of the center, we must continue to elevate our ambitions regarding collaboration with the right stakeholders at the speed of relevance. This conference presents the opportunity to tackle these challenges head-on, and I thank our partners from industry who will join us for a panel shortly on public-private partnerships. Third, we must adopt a wartime mentality in cyberspace. Those of you in the Cyber Defense Committee are well aware of the ambitious agenda we are following at NATO. We have no intention of slowing down. That said, the road from intention to decision can sometimes feel unnecessarily long. My message to you all, whether you're working at the political, military, or technical levels, is that we must be ambitious in seeking tangible results. I'm saying this as we have, for years, observed that cyber attacks directed towards us are increasing in intensity, and yet the cost on perpetrators remains low, if not inexistent. And so, beyond critical investments in our resilience and readiness, we must be prepared to act decisively when necessary. This includes improving real costs on cyber threat actors when needed, and adopting a campaign-style response approach as allies agreed with the guide in 2024. This framework is a proactive approach through which we account for adversarial change in behavior, with tools including punitive, disruptive measures by law enforcement and cyber sanctions, to confidence-building measures, diplomacy, and technical advisories. We must also strengthen our deterrence messaging to make it clear that unacceptable cyber behavior will be met with consequences. We did this recently when the North Atlantic Council condemned Russia's malicious cyber activities, and the UK government sanctioned 3 units and 18 individuals belonging to the group. It is through this approach that we seek to bolster international stability and contribute to the ongoing existence of a secure cyberspace. In the immediate future, at the NATO level, there are 3 concrete challenges we must overcome. First, on requirement setting. Governments must articulate requirements to key external stakeholders, including industry, clearly. Especially where our militaries rely on critical infrastructure, we must share a clear vision of the standards and expectations needed to ensure our defense. More broadly, we must adopt a forward-looking mindset to our cyber capability planning, anticipating and communicating our expected needs to allow industry to evolve with us. This means a more ambitious approach to the cyber domain within NATO's overall defense planning moving forwards. You should expect upcoming NATO defense planning cycles to include meaningful targets that will require allies to further develop the cyber capabilities needed to support our forces at the pace needed to maintain our military edge. This interlinks closely with the second challenge, procurement. We all know that our defense procurement cycles are too lengthy. Based on the kinetic worlds of tanks and planes, when in cyberspace, we are usually trying to buy software. To harness the innovative power and the industrial capacity of trusted private sector partners, it is crucial we optimize the way governments do business. That means radical change in the way we procure, and also the way we consider security. Technology is changing so quickly that we must find the balance between facilitating innovation and due diligence procurement. The risk of falling behind our technological competitors in cyber and emerging technologies is extreme, and we must be able to move forward without compromising security. This leads me directly to the third challenge, accreditation. We must become better at leveraging standards and accreditation frameworks to identify trustworthy entities at pace and without delay. Think again of the warfighter. We must be able to speed up processes to certify products on the go and evolve our capabilities as we fight. We've seen our Ukrainian friends deliver wide-ranging innovation on the battlefield, and we must have the political will to enable the same. I'm saying this recognizing that some innovation developed under the strain of wartime can be hard to replicate when you're not physically facing the adversary. But we need to be more open to innovation and leveraging industry standards, or perhaps leveraging AI to help us accredit without delay. Requirements, procurement, and accreditation. These are process problems that affect all of us at NATO. It's crucial that these processes, originally developed on assumptions from kinetic domains, evolve to meet the needs of our cyber defenders. We acknowledge the challenges. We must act credibly to face them. Many of you will be aware that the NATO enterprise has restructured to seek optimized approach to our activities. The Cyber and Digital Transformation Division moved over 200 of our people into new offices this week, and we are therefore momentarily surrounded by chaos. But when the dust settles, we will be fully operational with the goal of achieving the vision of a more secure and resilient alliance. We are committed to ensuring we are on track to be warfighter ready and cyber ready as soon as possible, because our adversaries will not wait. And with this, I wish us all some fruitful days here in Tirana. Thank you very much.
Now, it is my great honor to invite to the floor His Excellency, the Prime Minister of the Republic of Albania, whose visionary leadership has been instrumental in advancing digital transformation in Albania and in strengthening its strategic role within the NATO allies.
Thank you very much. For some reasons, This is a tall guy's affair between Marc, Jean-Charles, and myself. We need two more and we can beat everyone in basketball, I guess. Anyhow, thank you so much for being here. It's a true honor to have so many states, friendly nations gathered here through you, and it's a pleasure to host you, Mr. Assistant Secretary General, and also to have heard the message from our dear friend Mark Rutte. Just so you know, I am supposed to deliver you a very long speech, but I'm gonna save you from the boredom of all this, and I'm gonna try to be as brief as I can, which is not something that is my virtue, but I'll try, because I'm thinking that, yes, you have to work hard today, but at the same time, you need some time to enjoy the city. So, number one, I would say that governments take credit or take blame for what they do right or for what they do wrong. But governments never take any credit for what they prevent to happen. And what they prevent to happen is not only part of their mission, but is an important part of their mission. And if governments would have been judged through real data on what they prevent to happen, people would have, I believe, a better opinion about them. And when it comes to cyber, it's exactly that. Investing and putting a lot of efforts to prevent terrible things to happen. We know how it feels, because unlike many of you, and I wish you'll never have to go through it, we went through it. And we saw ourselves in the middle of a very vicious, massive cyber attack, which aimed our digital infrastructure, which is our pride. We invested in our digital infrastructure for a very important purpose, to practically make a leapfrog and leave behind a very heavy story of bribery everywhere for everything. And so through that, we completely changed the course of relations between the government and the people, between the public services and the citizens, because we became among the very first countries with no front offices to offer services, and we brought 95% of the services in the pocket of the citizens where their smartphone is. And people from within or outside the country can get their service right away and for free. And this was the target. Huge investment for our limited resources, and a lot of time spent could have been blown in the air, just like this. We survived that, and I'm very proud to tell you that we have one of the best cyber walls among the NATO countries now. It's not visionary, it's just out of the very basic need for survival. And today we suffer average a cyber attack in every 3 minutes. But we succeed to completely push back. And when it comes to attacks that leave a mark, we had 48 in the last whole year. And 48, but again, they left a mark, but they didn't do any considerable damage. So when it comes to our state infrastructure, being digital or physical, I repeat with pride, we are among the best. Because we have been, I guess, among the very first to combine cyber defense with artificial intelligence. And it's our artificial intelligence inside the cyber wall that makes the job 24 hours 7 to detect in much early stage the potential of a harmful attack. But this is one side of the story. The other side of the story is the private sector. We have to do a lot more to engage the private sector and to make them aware that, like death, that is not an unconfirmed rumor, as many of us in the Balkans believe about death. Cyber attack is real, and the damage that can make is real. So I'm going to tell you how it went with the financial sector, with the banks. After we had this massive attack that we survived from a country that is targeting us regularly, but now we are much better set, as I told you. We gathered the banks and we said, listen, we are a target. And we're a target of a big player, not of an easy one. So please engage, please invest, please let's collaborate. We are ready to give you our knowledge. We are ready to help you. And they took it very lightly. And then one of them had to go through it. And they realized that this was really nasty. This is really nasty. So now we can say with some relief that when it comes to the banking sector, the level of defense is high, as it is high when it comes to the energy sector. But this being said, there is much more to do, and I saw the Assistant Secretary General nodding, which means to me that all the countries have to face this difficulty of getting the private sector on board with speed that is reasonable for the time we live in. And the last point I want to make, because I failed in my promise to be short, before I failed in my promise to be short, I want to say one thing, that unlike other forces in the space of our coexistence on this planet, we are big, but we are small. I mean, when I say we NATO. We are big because the sum of our countries is huge, but we are small because we're very fragmented. And when it comes to cyber protection, it's not a good idea to stay apart. And it's a very good idea to join the virtual incident support center, which is an initiative of NATO to gather all the countries and to make a much stronger defense through sharing our data, sharing our efforts, sharing our infrastructure. This is crucial, and Albania has joined, has been among the first to join that, and I wish all the countries join, because otherwise we'll have to do it, but after having learned in the hard way that it's not a good idea to be apart. Because there is one thing I learned from the cyber war experts, and we had the chance to work with top experts and top players to strengthen our defense, that it's very important to know the enemy and to know the enemy's tools. So you don't need to face it yourself if you can learn about the enemy while the enemy is attacking someone else. So collecting all information about the enemy's tools and about the enemy's innovative tools when they get in the space is a must. And you can't do it when you are separated from each other. While when you are together, you learn and you take your measures so that new tool that is there will not harm you. So, based on our cooperation with few partners, few non-NATO partners, by the way, we realized that while helping us, they learned for themselves what was new on the enemy's side. So these were my takes, but don't forget, I'm not a general, I'm not a cyber expert, I'm not any type of expert. I'm the only one in my government without a PhD. I'm just an artist. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated for a few minutes while the Prime Minister and heads of the delegations proceed to take the family photo. After that, you may continue with the agenda. Thank you.